Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Eric and I like to read, and today I'm going to be doing the Mid Year Freakout Tag. So I actually think I'm on time to do it at the correct time this year because every other year I've kind of done it around the beginning of June, but now it's like just past the halfway mark in June, which is the actual like mid year. So yeah, I'm actually doing it at the right time. I really like this tag. This is one that like I've had a lot of fun doing from year to year. And basically this tag goes over different books that I have read this year, books that like I've really enjoyed, books that were really disappointing, and then books that I'm excited for the remainder of the year. So I had a lot of fun coming up with all the books that I chose for the different prompts for this. So let's just dive right in. The first one is the best book you've read so far in 2021. And for me, that would have to be Legend Born by Tracy Dion. I loved this book. Marcus told me that I was going to really enjoy this book going into it, and lo and behold, I did really enjoy it. So, for anybody that doesn't know, this is like an Arthurian retelling set in modern day. It has a really cool magic system, and it's kind of set at like this like pre-university school. So it's like kids that are going to go to university, but they're not there yet, but they're already like kind of in that university setting where they're like living with roommates and things like that. So yeah, it was really cool. There's a lot of really fun characters in this book and monsters and different relationships, and I had a great time with this book. I really want there to be more in this series, and I'm pretty sure there is going to be more in this series, which makes me super excited. Like, I can't wait to read more books like this. But yeah, this one was also I'm pretty sure a debut author, which is fantastic. So like I'm looking forward to more of Tracy's stuff. Then we have the best sequel you've read so far in 2021, and for anybody that knows me, I feel like you'll know what this is going to be, but it is Heartstopper. So this is actually the third edition of the series, but I'm counting like volume 2 and volume 3 because I read them at the exact same time right after each other. But I really, really love this series. It's such a heartwarming graphic novel series about two boys just falling in love and exploring their new relationship together, and it's just so cute. I really like this one because this one they go on like a school trip to Paris, and so it's really exciting. You get to like see them in a new country and just like how they're enjoying themselves, being who they are, and not really like having to be scared of what other people are going to think kind of thing. So yeah, it was really cool. This series also deals with like a lot of hard-hitting issues and things that happen in lots of people's lives, and I really appreciate that they deal with those topics in a way that is just like easy to understand and get the point across. Then we have new release you haven't read yet but want to. So for this one, I'm actually going to be hopefully reading it this month. I'm trying to power through my TBR to get to it, but that is Gear Breakers. This book actually just came out yesterday, I believe. So it is a new release. I really want to read it. And this is essentially an LGBTQ plus book that is kind of like a Pacific Rim retelling. I wouldn't say retelling, but it has Pacific Rim style. So it's like two different sides that have giant robots and they're like fighting against each other. But the two girls from either side kind of start to see that they might be fighting for the same thing and also start to fall for each other. So like, yeah, I want to read this so bad. I think it's going to be awesome. And so yeah, I have the book. I'm hoping to get to it by the end of this month. So I think that I'm going to read it very soon. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Then we have most anticipated release for the rest of 2021. And so for this one, I think I was looking through all the books that like I'm looking forward to reading. And I think for this one, it would be Iron Widow, which is also, funny enough, similar to Gear Breakers in that it has a Pacific Rim style like setting. But it also takes place with like the Chinese dynasty. And yeah, I think it just sounds really cool. I'm really into like that kind of book. Because who doesn't want to read a book about giant robots fighting each other? Like, I think that's so cool. But yeah, I think this one's going to be really good too. And I already have an advanced reader copy of it, so I just need to get to it. But that one comes out in September, so I have some time to read that one. Next up is the biggest disappointment. And so this one I would have to say is We Are Totally Normal. I read this as an arc from HarperCollins, and I had such high expectations going into this one, thinking that it was going to be an LGBTQ plus like relationship story between these two boys. And I mean, it was, but it did not live up to like what I had built of an expectation of it in my head, because I had seen other people that had really enjoyed it. I personally don't think that the way the main character went about his relationships and the way he treated people was good at all. Like, I think that he was kind of a shitty person. And yeah, like, I don't really feel like he cared about other people's feelings, or it didn't seem like he did. And I was not really feeling the main character. And so that kind of really brought the book down for me, because if I'm not enjoying the main character at least a little bit, like, I'm not really going to enjoy the rest of the book. So yeah, that one was kind of a big disappointment for me. Then we have Biggest Surprise. And so for this one, I'm choosing Sunkissed by Casey West. I had never read a Casey West book before, and she's like purely a romance author. So although she's like a young adult romance author, and so I jumped into it not really knowing what to expect, and I absolutely adored it. It was such a fun, like, happy-go-lucky book about a girl and her family who go to stay at this camp for the summer. It's kind of like a camp resort, and she meets a boy there that they like kind of start this relationship, and things happen. And of course, how any like rom-com or like romance book goes, wrenches get thrown into the situation, and it adds for an interesting story. And I really enjoyed it. I think partially I really enjoyed it because of like the camp setting, because I really enjoy camp related books, which I've realized this year. I don't know, that's just a new thing, but like, I just like camp settings. I think they're really fun. But in this book, I did enjoy the way they tied like a musical aspect to it, and just like the family bonds that were built during this book. It was really like a heartwarming read, and yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Then we have favorite new author, and so this is debut or just new to you. So for this, I'm choosing new to me, and that is Martha Wells. So I read All Systems Red by Martha Wells, and I loved it. I thought this book was so good, and I'm really excited to read more of her books. Like, I just know I'm gonna like them. They're all like novella length, which is fantastic because I like short books. I get a little intimidated by bigger books, but yeah, it's following a main character called Murderbot, and so they're kind of like a robot that's supposed to assist like other scientific teams with different things, like keeping them alive, kind of like a robot security. And so this one follows Murderbot. I'm assuming the rest of them do too, because it's like the Murderbot series. So I don't know. It could be following like different Murderbots as you go, but I really enjoyed this one. I know that this author's writing style is definitely something I really enjoy, and I think I'm going to enjoy reading more of their books. Then we have newest fictional crush, and I usually don't really get fictional crushes on characters, but like if I had to choose one, I would choose George from Camp. George is the main character's best friend from this book, and I just like George because they're like so openly themselves. They have nothing to hide, and they're very like sarcastic and just like have a fun personality. And I really enjoy that in a person. Like, when somebody has such a fun personality like that, you're very drawn to them. And so like I feel like I would be drawn to George right away and just like want to be their friend or more. Yeah, George is just a really fun guy. Next up is newest favorite character, and I still don't know how to say this character's name properly, but I believe it's Rysand from of Court of Thorn and Roses. I enjoyed this book a lot, but I think his character being introduced was my favorite part of the whole book. I think that they add like a fun twist to it, and I don't know, I like how like dark and brooding they are, but also like commanding at the same time. So I'm looking forward to seeing where else we go with this character and what else we get to explore with them. It definitely set it up for them being in the series more at the end of this book, and I've only read this first book so far, so I have a lot more to explore in the series. And yeah, I'm really hoping that there's more of them in it. Then we have a book that made you cry, and I also don't really cry in books either. Like, I guess I'm just not a really emotional person, but the book that would have been closest to making me cry or feeling like very strong emotions would be The Black Flamingo. I think that's just because like I was really drawn into this character right away, and I just wanted the best for Michael. Like, I wanted everything to go perfectly for him. Obviously, it doesn't. He has to go through a lot of struggles through his life, and this book really like portrayed that very well, and portrayed him like discovering himself and his sexuality. And it was such a beautiful read, and it helps that it was written in verse so that it like comes across as a beautiful read too because of like the poetry-esque like writing style. Next up is a book that made you happy, and so for that I chose Check Please. This is volume 2. Volume 1 also makes me happy as well, but I just love Check Please. It's such a heartwarming graphic novel, and it's just so cute. Like the main character, Eric, aka Biddy, is just he's such a cinnamon roll. I know I've said this so many times, but like I just love his character. I also there's a character in this book named Shitty, and he's one of the guys on the hockey player team, and I really like his character too. I think he's very like wholesome and like a very good friend to other people on the team. I mean, I like really all the characters on the team. They're all really great like friends and teammates, and they all are there for each other. It's very heartwarming to see because like when you think of sports, a lot of the time the LGBTQ plus players have to deal with a lot of like blowback or things that like the teammates are not comfortable with, which is really unfortunate. Like it's not something that should be present in today's society, but unfortunately it is. But in this case, for this graphic novel, this team is just so welcoming and nice, and it's such a good like happy go lucky book, and they're playing hockey, which is like a sport that like every Canadian knows about. So I just feel like I relate to it. Not that I play hockey, I am horrible at hockey, but I just feel like it's relatable to me being up here in Canada. So yeah, no, this book definitely makes me happy. And then we have the most beautiful book you have bought so far this year or received. And I definitely bought this one, and it's purely a cover buy, and that is The Lost Apothecary. I don't know what it is about this cover. I just think it's so beautiful. I really like the blend of colors that they use in this book cover. And yeah, when I saw that this was at our used bookstore, I let them know immediately that I was coming to pick it up. And that's what I did, like the same day, because I'm really drawn to this cover. I think it's so pretty. I don't even really know like much about this book. I just know that I really want to have this cover on my shelf because of how it looks. And that's that. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So these ones, I feel like I've said this in my other 2 mid-year freakout tags, but this year I'm serious. I'm actually going to do it. So the first one is Dark Age by Pierce Brown. I am going to read this book this year. I'm determined. Plus it's beautiful. Like, just look at that. I'm going to be scared to damage it while reading it. Like, I'm going to be super careful reading this book just because of how beautiful it is. But I'm going to read this book. It's happening. It's going to happen. And then I also said I was going to read this one earlier this year, and I still haven't. So I'm going to get to this one too. And that is A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I need to read this book. I have to. I think that I'm going to read it in August, hopefully. But yeah, I really want to read this book and get it over with because it's just been sitting there staring at me and being upset with me every time I pick it up and then don't read it. So it's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. And then I also want to read Half a War, which is the last book in this Joe Abercrombie trilogy. I've already read Half a King and Half the World and really enjoyed those 2 books. And so I'm really excited to read Half a War and finish off that series. And then the last one is Dispel Illusion by Mark Lawrence. I've read the other 2 books in this trilogy already, and so of course I just want to wrap up this trilogy as well. These books are really short too, so they're really easy to get through. And these are the ones that kind of follow like that friend group, I think from like the 80s time period, and they're playing like Dungeons and Dragons, but then other things start to happen that are kind of like part of their Dungeons and Dragons games, or like things like that are happening in real life. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing off that trilogy and yeah, having another one just done. And that's it for my mid-year freakout tag. Those are all the books that I'm excited to read, the ones that I've already read and enjoyed or did not. Let me know in the comments down below if you have done this tag and what your favorite books of the year have been so far, or what your biggest disappointments are. I'm always curious to know what those are. And now for our independent bookstore shout out. Okay guys, so today's independent bookstore shoutout is for the Mulberry Bush Bookstore, and this is located in Parksville, British Columbia. So this is their website. They have lots of cool stuff on here. Exciting new reads coming out, so check those out. Gardening titles if you want to get into gardening. One of them they have down here, where is it? Books that keep you up at night. Now this is something I would be interested in because I have been on like a thriller kick lately,
and really like to just get creeped out by books. Oh, I actually own this one. I haven't read it yet, but it sounds pretty good. And I really like this cover. I've seen this all over the place, so maybe I'll have to pick that up. This bookstore is owned by Barbara and Tom, and this is their store. It looks adorable, and I would love to go visit this place. Unfortunately, I'm not that close to British Columbia, but if I was, I would be there. I also love that they have staff picks so that you can just like see what each staff member is really interested in. I think that's really cool. So, yeah, if you guys want to go check out this bookstore online, you can go here to browse, and this will show you a list of all their books that they have available. So, definitely go check them out.
If you guys want to support me, I have a Patreon and a Coffee page, which I'll put in the description down below, as well as a link to buy my bookmarks. You guys know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button so you get notified when I post new videos. I post my videos on Mondays and Thursdays. And until next time, keep on reading.